What's good YouTube, it's Adam from I'm a Music Mogul and welcome to another video. This is Artiphon's Orba, sort of a device that got me thinking a lot. Can I actually simplify my whole setup and just use this as my main MIDI controller? I'm always dreaming of a minimal setup and this just may be the device for that. I will be taking a look at this from a pro's perspective, someone who's been using a lot of instruments and been making music for a lot of years, rather than a beginner, because I think as a beginner this is incredible, but as a pro, is this really useful in a setup that you probably already have? So with that said, let's start off from the top and take a look at what the Orba can do. In the box you'll get the Orba itself, some documentation which will lead you to some tutorial videos online that you should watch because there is a slight learning curve to this device, and the USB-C to USB-C cable. Now the Orba is sort of a jack of all trades type of device. It tries to do a lot of things and it's really good at some of the things and sort of falls short at some of the things as well. But here's what it can do, and it's a really long list. To start, it's a standalone instrument with built-in sounds, so you can sketch musical ideas without connecting it to anything. With that, you'll probably want to take advantage of the Orba's looper sequencer abilities, and if you want to swap out sounds, you can pair it with the Orba Companion app. It's also a Bluetooth-enabled MPE MIDI controller for your favorite DAW. It also has a built-in speaker as well, so if you connect this to your DAW on your computer, you can actually use this to monitor your session using the built-in speaker here, should you want to. On the top, you'll find all of Orba's controls, like changing the mode from drums to bass to leads to chords. You also have your transport controls along with octave and tempo controls as well. And you switch between all those modes by using different gestures on the top here. That's where the videos come in handy. It's about 5 to 10 minutes and you're up to speed. Fairly easy once you know all the maneuvers for this device. So if we take a closer look at the top, it features a perfect 8 keys to help you stay within a certain scale that you can select from the Orba app. And these keys change from modes to mode. So for drum mode, it's actually sketched out in a different way. And in that specific mode, you have unique gestures like doing this to do a clap or using this to shake. So just different ways to use the device within the different modes. Bass mode will auto set to a monophonic mode. Lead mode is polyphonic and it can be set to the pentonic scale to help make melodies easier. And lastly, the chord mode gives you all of the chords within the given scale, and that can be switched to 7th chord variations in the app as well. And you get all of that for just under $100. And that is something that I really thought about. Like, how did they pack all of this technology into a device like this for under $100? And this is where some of the shortfalls of Orba come into play if you're really particular about a certain design. So as I said earlier, the Orba is a jack of all trades device, but when you actually come to feel it and play with it, that's where you start to notice some of its shortcomings. So for instance, the plastic feel of the device itself is sort of a cheaper, harder plastic. It also has a built-in haptic motor, so every time you press sort of a key on the device itself, it doesn't really give you that sense of feeling that you're actually pressing a key. Think of it as your MacBook Pros or your MacBook laptops. When you press it, it actually physically feels like you're pressing something. I don't know what magic is happening behind the scenes, but it feels that way with a good haptic motor. The Orba doesn't give you that. It just sort of rumbles and vibrates. It doesn't give you that sense of pushing the button, and I really wish the haptic motor was a little bit better so you get that sense of really pushing into it, because this device is really meant to be played in various ways. So without that proper haptic motor, you kind of just are pressing like a hard plastic on top, and your fingers get a little bit tired of it over time as you're using the device. Also, the built-in speaker is not the greatest. You're probably not going to want to use it to monitor anything. It sounds very mid-rangey, like it's music coming through a telephone. It doesn't have a wide frequency range, but it makes sense. Like, this is not to bash the device as a whole. It just makes sense that you actually see where they had to cut back in order to reach that price point of under $100, because the engineering and the software that went into this device, I'm sure it took a lot of power and knowledge and time, and that's where I think most of the money came into play. But what's really good about the Orba is that you can connect it to your computer via USB-C, or you can connect it wirelessly via Bluetooth, and there's literally very, very little latency when you connect it via Bluetooth. And of course, if you connect it via the USB-C cable, it's virtually no latency. It works with your computer and all major DAWs along with your iOS devices. So if you're using FL Studio Mobile or GarageBand, this works really, really well with that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the Orba app, show you what that's all about, what you can control on the device itself. And then we'll jump into a major DAW like Logic and show you what you can do with this device and Logic. All right, so this is the Orba companion app. I got our Orba connected to our computer via USB-C, and I'm recording the audio from the Orba via the stereo output over here. Now, I personally don't use this app as a mini DAW or looper, just because there's not a wide variety of sounds on the Orba itself, and you're not going to make like a full song. It's just strictly a looper, and that's that. How I have been using the Orba as a standalone MIDI controller, and this app is imperative to have because if you're going to use this as a MIDI controller, you can obviously tell there's not all the keys here. You're going to need to select the scale that you want your session to be in. So what I would do is I would open up this app, I would click this at the top here, select what scale or key I want my session to be in, and then I'm off to making that track. But we're going to go ahead and just play through some sounds within the app, and then we're going to jump into Logic and put together a beat. So on the app, it's very simple, the same across PC and iOS devices as well. You have your different modes, your drums, your bass, your chords, or your lead. You can change it by just hitting the A on the device itself, or by clicking it from the app itself here. So here's just to give you an idea of some of the sounds within drums. You can tap on the side to get that clap. I mean, it's pretty responsive to how you play it. And if you want to change the sound, you just go to here and you can change up the sound that way. Next is hit A on our Orba to change the mode to bass. And now we are in a monophonic mode, as bass would suggest. And depending on how you hold the Orba, it's going to modulate the sound and give it sort of a different character. So I can tilt, bring it back. I could also place my finger differently on the pad to get a different type of sound. And we can go ahead and modulate it that way as well. I can change the octave from the Orba itself. So if I hit A8, slide it down, I could go to a lower octave, or I can bring it up 2 octaves. It's actually really intuitive. All of the gestures are really intuitive. So now we are in, let's go back to that, to the chord mode. So it's going to play all the chords within your set scale. So right here, I believe we are in the C major scale. Right now we're on the 7th chord preset. So if we hit chord 1, we're going to get a C major 7th, D minor 7, E minor 7, and so on. So all the chords within C major scale, but as a 7th version. If we go to another preset, or select another preset, we're going to go to a triad mode. So we're going to get C major, D minor, E minor, F major, and all the chords within the C major scale. So this 7th chord preset right here will work and translate well to the DAW. So if you did want to play in 7th chords in your session, just open up the app, go to the 7th chords version or preset, and you can get those 7th chords in your DAW with any sound that you want to use. Next, hit A, we'll go over to the lead preset. And now we are in a polyphonic mode. And we can hit multiple notes at the same time. Once again, how you hold it, how you move it affects the sound. We can go ahead and select a different preset just to get an idea of some of the sounds that are on the device itself. Alright, so that is the app right here. You can use it as a mini DAW, like I said, but I personally have not been using it that way. Like I said, I've been using this as a standalone MIDI controller. So let's go over to Logic and create a song from scratch using the Orba. Alright, so here we are in Logic. I set the song key in the Orba app to D minor. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Logic's Alchemy, and we're just going to start off our track with a couple of chords here. Let's go to, let's see what we can put together here. And these movements also work in some third-party plugins as well. All right, let's put in something like that. All right, let's go and quantize that up. Let's go back to our ethereal guitar over here. We're going to go over to lead. When we lock to a certain scale, maybe we'll bring that down 1 octave and see what we can put together here. All right, let's go quantize that. And take these last 2 notes out, and notice also that it's recording in the velocity information as well. Go ahead and bring in a drum kit here. If I bring in a predetermined drum kit from Logic, everything's going to line up perfectly on the drum mode. But I think I'm just going to bring in my own kit here. Let's go to my go-to kit. Let's just start off with the hi-hat, give us a bounce. All right, let's go and quantize that up. All right, something simple for this one. All right, let's go ahead and record in this perk as a snare. Let's quantize that up. Add in that open hat. Quantize that up. Let's go over to our clap, and we're going to go over to, we can go over bass mode, doesn't matter. Just going to pitch that up. Bring in a clap as well. All right, so I messed up a little bit here, but let's go and quantize that. the second hi-hat here. Record that in. Quantize that up. Put in a snare here. Might have put in too many, but let's see how it goes. All right, so that's pretty good there. Maybe we can add in a counter melody here. Let's go to Alchemy. Let's go to keys. Let's go to this gentle sine bell here. Let's go over to our lead preset. Bring it up 1 octave. Quantize that up. So there's just an idea how I've been using the Orba with Logic. As you can see, you can quickly sketch out a beat right there. We did something really chill here, but that is Orba when you use it as a standalone MIDI controller. So that is the Artiphon Orba, a $100 device that gets you a whole lot for your money. It's nice, compact. It's probably the best portable MIDI controller, but it's also a really good controller for your main studio as well. I've been using it as my main MIDI controller for the past couple of weeks with no issues at all. I actually like that my desk was a lot cleaner and just had like this little device right here that I could literally wrap my hands around. I've been using the chord feature a ton just to lay down some chords, and the lead feature as well just to lay down some quick melodies. Just overall a really good device, and it's really how you want to use it. For beginners, you can use it like you're texting on the phone because it's something very easy that you could just, you know, use your thumbs to play. But I usually just leave it on the desk as you saw and just play it like that. So if you are in the market for a device that works really well for your main DAW as well as your portable setup, whether it be an iPad or iOS device like your iPhone, I think this is really a good device for that. If you're looking to like get a minimal setup, this is probably a good device for that as well. If you have like a smaller setup, this fits literally anywhere. Like I could put it in my pocket and just go from there. Can't say enough good things about this device, but I really do wish that Artiphon sort of made a pro version of this. Like when I first opened it up, I was expecting for this to be like a little squishy like the Rolly devices, but it's not. I was hoping that the haptic feedback would be really nice and I could really push into the sound. You can't, and I wish the speaker is a little bit fuller as well. So if they maybe up the price to like $199 or $250, I'd definitely be all in to buy that device. But for $100, you're getting a whole lot, and don't be fooled by its small size. It can actually be your main controller should you want it to be. If you do have any questions on the Orba, happy to answer them down below. That's it for me, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Later.